And now, the LSU Football Fix with Preston Guy, presented by TigerBait, starts now.
And welcome in to your LSU Football Fix. I'm Preston Guy, staff writer at TigerBait.com. Tonight's show is, of course, presented to you by Celebrity Theaters. Guys, we've got a fun show tonight. Of course, I missed last week as I took my kid to Disney World, and now we have an extra show to make up for the sponsors. And accordingly, just so happened to line up with a big week as LSU plays Ole Miss for what many weeks would be the game of the week if it weren't for college football apocalypse this weekend with just an insane amount of top-notch matchups. But additionally, the schedule released tonight. So I decided to have a fun little show. We're going to have a bunch of local media members come in. I've got Bryce Koon coming in here in just a few minutes. I've got Hunter McCann of WBRZ coming in right after that. John Eads of WAFB right after that, and Carter Bryant of Power Hour LSU. So a nice, well-rounded group of guys I all enjoy talking with that we'll be bringing in tonight. We're going to have some fun discussions. We're going to react to LSU's schedule. I have a few notes of my own I'd like to get to. And I also want to point out, please be patient with me tonight, guys. I went to the dentist, got things drilled into my head. I've got half my face is still numb right now. So if I'm talking a little slower or off, just know I'm going through it, guys. I'm going through it with y'all tonight. But let's see here. I think Bryce is backstage and needs just a couple minutes. But here's the schedule for LSU. Bryce, you good to go? I'm going to throw him up whether he's ready or not. Whether you were ready or not, you were coming, buddy. What's going on, man?
Sorry about that, man. Got back late from player interviews and had to rush and eat dinner. And as you know, had to get the baby settled down. So had to help mom.
Dude, you have the baby settled down already? That's impressive.
Not yet. I lied.
Okay, all right. Some
moms
moms
I shouldn't have lied on your program.
No. I appreciate that. Honesty matters here. So we roll with that. I have not got my kid down yet. My wife is currently doing all the parenting as well. So shout out to the wives of the world making LSU podcasting possible. Okay, before we dive into schedule, I'll ask you, did you get anything interesting out of player interviews today?
Pretty standard stuff, I would say. Especially from, if people don't know, they split it up, right? So like what people might watch on the TV side of things, or for you guys with TigerBait, is different than what we get from the written side at times. The one thing I had kind of keyed in on was really two things. It does not include Landry Kiffin, so no worries on that.
No Whit Weeks today.
No Whit Weeks today. No, but I guess just the two things that I keyed in on was Patrick Payton just talked about, being disciplined, and this is really going to be a test for this front seven in terms of having, whoever plays quarterback is going to be, it could be a handful, and not letting them extend plays with their legs. And so that's obviously goes, I think, without saying, when the casual or average fan looks at this game. But that was the one big thing. And then Zavion Thomas, two weeks ago, I would say, and we asked him, and he goes, this is crazy. So he goes, Barian Brown's the best return man I've ever seen. So I asked Barian Brown about it, and he was like, no, Zavion Thomas is the best return man. So we talked a little bit about the competition, the friendly competition between those two guys. And I just thought that was awesome. So it was good stuff.
Well, let's dive right into the big news du jour here. LSU schedule release. Now, obviously, you're working. Have you had a chance to dive in and develop any thoughts?
So these came out right before the first player was introduced, which is crazy. And then obviously you're seeing like the full slate is you're starting to see LSU's full slate of games as we're talking to players. So I took a brief look at this while we were waiting for different players to get mic'd up and everything like that. And then obviously, when I got home tonight, I think the thing that sticks out was, and Preston, like, this, I'm from Georgia. And so growing up in Georgia, didn't have ties to LSU, didn't have ties to Auburn. But that was, growing up 30 minutes from Auburn, that was always a game that I loved, just the craziness of that back and forth game. And I know LSU fans kind of hated, some LSU fans I talked with didn't like the fact that they lost that game, I guess, 2 years ago. And then Auburn fans as well. So 2026, a road trip to Jordan-Hare, I love that. And that's just maybe a little more nostalgia for me, having a lot of friends who are Auburn fans going and seeing those LSU Auburn games. LSU at Kentucky in 2026, which is we were joking. I don't know how you feel about it, Preston, but you've got a trip to Kentucky and Tennessee. I'm hoping those are October, November, so we get to experience some crisp autumn weather late in the football season up in two beautiful places, Lexington and Knoxville. So for that 2026 slate, man, I like it. It's going to be fun. You do have to go to Ole Miss 2 years in a row, which the SEC did kind of put out a disclaimer might have to happen. But overall, I don't know how much you want me to dive into it. 2026, I'm excited about the slate that LSU gets at home with Texas and Alabama and A&M. And then I think some intriguing road matchups as well.
It is a fire home schedule. That was my first thought. Like,
season ticket holders will get their money's worth. I'll say
absolutely. And by the way, that's with only 4 SEC home games, by the way, because this is the year where you get, it has to be uneven. You're going to get 5 road games, but it's funny, even with 5 road games, those 5 road games are more manageable. So ultimately for 2026, I feel like this is a favorable schedule to compete for a championship, and it's never going to be easy. Let's just get that out of the way. Yeah. In the SEC, you're never going to look up at any schedule and be like, well, this is an easy path to the playoffs. No, it's going to be tough every year. So, yeah, you're going to have to do some things like go to Tennessee. Mm-hmm. But partner that with on the road at Arkansas. We have no idea who their coach will be. Will it be Sam Pittman? Are they going to be patient with him? How good are they going to be? There's no evidence to suggest they'll be elite. Ole Miss is going to be tough. No doubt about that. There's no doubt in my mind Ole Miss will be a tough game. Auburn, they should be improved at doing their thing. But compare that to things like, okay, you could be at Texas and at Georgia.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, yeah. I'd say you got off pretty well. I mean, and at Kentucky, I'll take that any time of the week. Basically, the toughest environment you have to play in is at Tennessee.
Yeah, Tennessee and Auburn are going to be your – I'm not trying to hate on Ole Miss. It is Ole Miss hate week, I guess. Though.
No, but they're Auburn, just not as tough a place to play as those
No,
two.
Man. I mean, look, I mentioned earlier, I grew up going to Auburn games. Like, that's a really – when that place is rocking, that is one of the tougher places to play, maybe underrated in terms when you talk about stadiums that are like under that 90K threshold. They seat about 86,000. They've got a lot of good fans over there. But to your point, man, I mean, could you – now, I will say if you're just like from the 30,000-foot view and you're a college football fan, seeing LSU play A&M at home, Bama at home, Texas at home, and going on the road to Athens and Knoxville and Auburn would have been like – that would have just been really cool to see, like just in terms of the casual college football fan. I think this is very favorable in terms of what you have. Now, obviously, I know you've mentioned this. I watch your shows a lot, Preston. Like you talk about – year over year, it's really hard for you to gauge teams with how much we have, and so it is difficult. I mean, shoot, dude, Kentucky could have a whole new coaching staff if Mark Stoops isn't careful. So I don't think Auburn will. I think they're better than they've been, but who knows? So just in general, man, I love getting those games back. Mississippi State's an interesting one because I don't remember the stat, Preston, but LSU and Mississippi State had not missed a game in so long. It
was like 85 years.
Yeah, it was a long time. It was a long time. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I'm going to age you here, Preston.
Can I summarize, though, something for you? A thought that comes to mind in that rivalry. Number one, it's been very lopsided. Number two, let's talk about this. You've played this game for nearly a century straight, and it's not considered a super heated rivalry. I think that kind of speaks for itself a little bit because you talk about long-standing rivalries like Georgia Auburn, and it's a highly revered rivalry. The fact that this is as long-standing rivalry and it's not revered, I think that speaks some certain volumes. I have a very important question for you in the chat from this guy named Zack, Nagy, something like that. Hey, Bryce, big fan. Question. Nagy. Yeah, that's right. Nagy. Who would win in a cage fight? Ron, Charcuterie, or Ken's?
That's quite the trio. By the way, I'm gonna go. Look, Ron Higgins is coming off double hip replacement. By the way, and the man moves like I'm going Ron. I gotta get Ron.
At this point, he's a cyborg.
Crazy. I don't want to get us too off a tangent here. Women's basketball tournament. Ron, I look at Ron and I'm like, hey, what's going on or something? He's like limping. He's like, yeah, I had hip replacement surgery last week. I'm like, what? And my wife's a PT, and I'm like, I text her, I was like, is this normal? She's like, that's pretty crazy. Like that's wild. So it is. That's a great question.
Excellent question. Perfect question.
I will say, Preston, as a person who always looks for an opportunity to utilize work trips to go back home and see family, I'm excited to get, one when I grew up in Columbus, Georgia, so it's 30 minutes from Auburn. We'll obviously get that one in 2026. 2027 in Athens, man. That is going to be – Preston, it'll be 14 years since that 2013 game that a young Bryce was at, Aaron Murray versus Zack Mettenberger. I know LSU fans remember that one. Look, unreal game, back and forth, big quarterback battle. That was the one that Odell caught the kickoff with one hand in the back of the end zone. If people remember that electric game, I don't know, man. It's I like the schedules, and I feel like there's an even mix every single year to where it's like, hey, there's some really matchups like can't miss in terms of the brands. And then there's somewhere it's like, hey, if that team turns out to be pretty good, that's a sneaky little game you got to go to on the road, or a sneaky game that they've got to come to you. So I do like that.
The fact that, and I actually didn't think of that until you just said it, that LSU hasn't been to Athens, Georgia since 2013.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I hadn't even started working in media formally. I was just an LSU student back then. I don't
want to date you here. I was a junior in high school.
Yeah, no, you're but that's the thing. There's probably a few people watching who might have not even been into football when that was going
Preston,
on.
Let's be real here. I mean, that's 13 years old. You might have some younger viewers that weren't born. I
That's
mean, in all seriousness, maybe we got some 10, 11, 12-year-old LSU fans don't even remember that.
I like to think most of my viewers are gray-haired, but, maybe I do skew a little younger with the audience, and maybe some weren't even born. But that is objectively, that's a failure of the conference, in my opinion. And that's been my overarching opinion, more strong than anything about preserved rivalries or how much I actually like the schedule. It is that there's more rotation now. You're going to play every team every other year. That's a conference. Okay. Yeah. When you're not playing at places in 13 years, it's hardly a conference at that point. Like all you're doing is competing for the same trophy. You're not really associated.
It's crazy because we bring that up in 13 years. Georgia has never played in College Station since A&M's joined. Think about that.
What?
Yeah, Georgia's never played in College Station. They've only played each other one time, and it was, I think, the year after the COVID year, so 21. No. Or maybe it was even COVID year. They played in Athens. So now, to your point, this is a conference. I was a little hesitant of what this would look like, but I really do. I really do like this schedule. I think there's opportunities to get some good games in. And I'll even add this, 2027, I'm not high. I don't know your feelings on it. I don't love the fact that we're not going to get to see LSU Alabama every single year. I mean, that's just something that's ingrained in like you and I grew up around, obviously we grew up around the same time frame, like the Saban rivalry, I understand it's maybe different now that he's not there. I get that, but that's what we grew up on. Those November games that usually determine who went to the SEC title game out of the West. It's different, and maybe we don't like change. Maybe we are the old guys yelling on our lawn or yelling to kick kids off of our lawn. Yeah, but I hate that we don't get that every single year. But that's just they did a good job of supplanting some games. I think that could be obviously a lot of fun.
Let me though add to that though. I would sacrifice that for sanity within the SEC schedule. And let me tell you,
true.
Is it really not a rival because you play every other year? Every other year,
the magnitude of the game is
probably
going to increase. Like, is that too far to say? Like, people are going to be waiting for that game and circling it maybe even more. I don't know.
Possible.
It is. And like, even in 2027, man, you still get road trips to College Station, Gainesville, Athens, and South Carolina and Columbia. So, I mean, those are four, depending on how good they are, those are four really good environments that you get to go into and play. That's wild.
Off the lawn. I don't know what
I got unfollowed today by Lawn, so that hurt.
Who? Okay. Well, okay. Yeah. Okay, got it.
I got kicked off his lawn.
Congratulations on that. Oh God, he ruined me. So before I kick you off my lawn, I will ask you thoughts on the LSU Ole Miss game this weekend. Have you made a pick?
We were talking about this tonight. You look at a lot of the numbers, and I don't know how big you are into like SP Plus and all these things, and I think they're useful tools. I don't think they are the end-all, be-all. I think at the end of the day, we have to realize these guys are human. There's humans inside that locker room that really determine the chemistry and everything. Man, I think the one thing that I feel like I know is I know that Lane Kiffin, no matter what, is gonna draw some stuff up. And the chess battle between Blake Baker and Lane Kiffin is going to be must-watch TV. Like, if you are an X's and O's person, if you come across this show for some reason, you don't watch college football or you don't watch LSU or Ole Miss, watch that game. I know there's some good games going on Saturday, but make sure you sit down in front of the TV at least when LSU's on defense and Ole Miss is on offense, because that's – I mean, you talk about two guys at the top of their game in this game.
Yeah.
Like that's who you have there. So I went political there because I avoided your question by telling something I wanted to talk about. But I will say I think LSU wins this game. My big number is 25 points. If Ole Miss goes over 25 points in this game, they score more than 25 points, I get a little uneasy about what could happen just offensively if you could match that in terms of getting into a boat race with them. If not, man, I think you could win this game 28-23, 30-23, something like that, and you just kind of suck the life out of what they've got going on there. You could put a stranglehold on them. So 25 points is the number I'm looking at this week, and we'll see. Is that enough?
Do you have the over/under? 55.5. And Lane Kiffin says take the over.
He did. I was going to ask. I'm asking Brian Kelly that tomorrow in the media teleconference. I'm going to say, do you agree with Lane Kiffin? Just asking for a friend. No, I would never be allowed on the teleconference ever again. But anyways.
Yeah. Well, shout out Whit Weeks and Landry Kiffin, the happy couple. Bryce, I appreciate you for popping in, man.
Yeah, man. Preston, as always, appreciate it, man. You guys do fantastic work, and always glad to help out and whenever I can. So continue to have fun talking about this topic, man, and see you, I guess, later this week or next week.
We'll see you when you see it. All right. Thank you, Bryce.
Appreciate you.
That was Bryce Koon, reporter at On 3. And now I have another special guest lined up. It is WBRZ sports reporter Hunter McCann. Hunter, what's up, man?
Hey, Preston, I can't hear you. I heard you a second ago whenever Bryce was on, but I lost you.
Cannot hear me.
I'm reading lips right now. Let me try leaving and coming back.
Yes, that's what, yep. All right, well, anyways, Hunter McCann's going to try to come and join back. I don't know what the technical difficulties are, but as y'all heard, we heard him very well. Let me do this. While he works through technical difficulties, I'm going to get through my first ad break, and then we will rejoin. Okay, so let's talk about my friends who make this show possible each and every year. That is Celebrity Theaters, guys. They are Louisiana's only locally owned and operated theater with locations in Baton Rouge and Ruston. And of course, guys, because they are locally owned and operated, there's a few things you're going to be guaranteed to see every time. A clean facility, better pricing, superior customer service, state-of-the-art technology, and of course the Baton Rouge location has an invigorating arcade featuring over 50 games. It's the largest in town. They've got a full-service bar featuring beer, wine, frozen drinks, oversized leather reclining seats, and of course the Dolby Atmos 3D sound system. Check out their weekly promotions they offer: Senior Savings Day, Bargain Tuesday, half-priced arcades on Wednesday, and Thirsty Thursday. And guys, if you're looking to book a private event, whether it's a corporate party, kid's birthday party, whatever it may be, send them an email, events@celebritytheaters.com, and they'll get you taken care of. I also got to thank our friends at Alumni Hall for making what we do possible, guys. It is the best place for the Tiger fans to shop with all your officially licensed LSU gear. Your ultimate shopping destination. They've got it all, guys. Nike, Champion, Johnny O, Onward Reserve, Peter Millar, Southern Tide, hats, Yetis, gifts, accessories. It's loaded, guys. I've always called it's like Willy Wonka's Wonderland for an LSU fan. Go check them out at Perkins Row or online at alumnihall.com. And don't forget to use the promo code TigerBait for 10% off your order. That works on most items in store. Also got to thank our friends, Genesis of Lafayette. Guys, they're the premier luxury dealership in South Louisiana, offering the finest cars and SUVs in the region. Coupled with the best service anywhere, Genesis of Lafayette has a huge inventory of new, certified, and pre-owned Genesis vehicles. For a truly first-class automotive experience, it's Genesis of Lafayette on 6600 Johnston Street. Here to exceed your expectations, Genesis of Lafayette. Shop us online at genesisoflafayette.com or call them at 877-856-2961. And guys, if you're looking for a good place to get some food before the game this weekend, of course, if you're not making the trip to Oxford, you'll be here in Baton Rouge. Head on downtown to our friends at Struby's, 107 3rd Street in downtown Baton Rouge. They pride themselves on providing a 5-star dining experience for a reasonable price. Struby's is locally owned with ownership in the building every day, taking a level of pride in the food and service you just don't from corporate establishments. Corporate features a full menu of specialty meats, including USDA prime Black Angus steaks, 100% certified Wagyu strip. They've also got things outside of red meat, such as dry-aged pork chop, black truffle lobster pasta, redfish, and plenty more. Book your reservation online at strubys.com. Make sure to let them know TigerBait sent you in. And who are we sending in now? It's Hunter McCann, who might be able to hear me. Are we good?
I can't hear you this time around. How are you doing?
I'm gonna blame that on the Apple AirPods, okay? Because they get funky sometimes. No, so all right,
no.
So let's dive right in because I wasted a few minutes of your time there running through
you
the
all
ads.
good, man.
We got the schedule released today. Now, it actually took me a while to discern any strong thoughts or feelings for a while. So I think it was frankly information overload. Have you had a chance to develop any opinions on this schedule?
Yeah, I have, and I'll start with the positives. I think the idea that the SEC is trying to push with the rotating of opponents, where every SEC team will be able to play every other SEC team across a 2-year span. Now, home and away across 4 years, whatever it may be. I like that. 15 years.
So
ago,
you're with me.
back,
you think that's a good improvement?
I think that is a good improvement. That portion of it is a good improvement. And the reason for so is like you look back 10, 15 years ago, there were long stretches across the SEC where opponents would not play each other. And I think just the competition level of being able to play other SEC opponents that usually, specifically for LSU, that they would not see on their schedule very frequently up until this point, that's awesome. I think that's pretty cool and it will create that type of rivalry feel across the entire league with close competitions. Now, you may not get them the following year, but you get them the year after. Something to look forward to. That's, to me, a positive. I think that's moving in the right direction of creating a equal and competitive field across the board in the SEC, where it's no longer where for so long, if you play the SEC East, it was almost a cakewalk to get to the SEC championship if you were just a little bit better than everybody else, where it was a fight for your life in the West for 15 years while Alabama was dominant. I'm happy that there's no more divisions like that. I'm happy that we're moving this format. To me, the negative, specifically focusing on LSU, is the permanent opponents. And the idea of it is fine, but the way that it was executed, I think, by the SEC is poor. I think going into this, I knew that LSU would not get every single game that you wanted for a permanent opponent. You may not get the Alabama, may not get the Florida, may not get maybe not even get Arkansas, where a lot of people, specifically Arkansas fans, love the competition over the boot. It's really a one-side fan fest in that sense. LSU fans don't care, but Arkansas loves it. So you gotta respect both sides of SEC fan bases. But I think for me, the one box I wanted to be checked off was for a permanent opponent. LSU either needed to have Alabama every year or have Florida every year. Because that's for LSU fans, those are the two biggest rivalries that LSU fans care about. That they care so much
bigger
about
than Ole Miss?
Those 2 weeks. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that people hate Ole Miss, but I think that the Ole Miss hate is more so not as rooted in history as the Alabama and Florida. Now I know LSU and Ole Miss
not as rooted in recent history. I will add that.
Correct.
The history that we were alive.
Correct. Now, I think I always knew Ole Miss would be on that list. And I think I thought it was going to be Ole Miss, Arkansas, and then Alabama or Florida.
Yeah.
This push of Texas A&M being a rivalry opponent for LSU is just so on deaf ears, I think, to a lot of fans, a lot of LSU fans, because I don't think that they specifically hate Texas A&M as a rivalry because it's always a close game. And they hate Texas A&M like the rest of the SEC hates Texas A&M. They think they're colty. They think they're annoying. And nobody wants to – it's not about playing them. They don't want to have to deal with the Texas A&M fan base. For the Alabama and the Florida game, they absolutely hate the fan base. They hate the team. It's, that it's the hate week for those teams when they're on the schedule. And I get it. You're going to get to still have them every other year or whatever. And, that those type of traditions will still live. But I think the SEC fumbled that because it's almost like printing free money when LSU and Alabama or LSU Florida play each other. Always on national TV, always a lot of hype. Doesn't matter how good each team was every year. Alabama may beat the brakes off of LSU, but the hype leading up to it, that there was even a chance LSU was going to win,
Oh, yeah.
brought in so much money everywhere, brought in eyeballs everywhere. And now you only get that every other year. And to me, that's such a letdown. I think the SEC, when they reevaluated in 4 years, may look at this completely different afterwards and see where they went wrong. But it really sucks between now and 2029 that this is the schedule that you kind of have to face.
So let me throw another curve in here though for you. You also got to look at it from the Alabama perspective.
Yeah.
What do I mean by that? Well, Alabama has some deep-rooted rivalries. Are you going to cancel the Iron Bowl and not do that every year? You were never going to do that. What about the third Saturday in October? Are you going to not do that game every year? Now, here's the question, okay? From a competitive standpoint, is it fair for Alabama to have to play Tennessee, okay, Auburn, and LSU on a yearly basis?
Definitely not.
Maybe some people do think so, but I would argue that no, that was going to be a tough call. And one thing they did with the 3 permanent opponents, there's nobody who I thought got particularly screwed with their 3 opponents.
Sure.
You know? And there's nobody who got away with it absurdly easy. So like Auburn has Georgia and Alabama as their 2. That's very difficult. That might be the toughest draw. Although we'll see what the future of Alabama holds, because I don't know exactly where that program's going up and down right now. But based on history, that's going to be a tough draw every year. Were you going to put LSU and Auburn's schedule on top of those 2?
I think personally that I did think that the LSU Alabama game was going to go away for that reason, right? When you look at the historic matchups, that you can't get rid of the Iron Bowl, you can't get rid of Alabama, Tennessee, just can't happen. And I agree. I thought that it's too harsh to throw LSU on the S3. Like Alabama would be getting significantly screwed in that, and I agree. I think personally, I thought it was going to be Ole Miss, Arkansas, Florida. And the reason I say that is look at Florida's permanent opponents and tell me that they didn't get off a little bit easier than others. Now, I know that nobody, like you said, I agree, nobody really got away easy. I think Tennessee and Florida, in my opinion, had the 2 easiest. Florida's got Georgia. That's tough. And I think that obviously is the hardest one on the schedule.
Sure.
But then you got South Carolina, which is it's a rivalry that
they're good right now.
Fans, and it's a rivalry that they care about. But then you throw in Kentucky in that mix. And that's a forced rivalry. And Florida fans don't care about that right now. I really thought that they were going to get Georgia, South Carolina, LSU. And you were going to be able to – because that's the thing about it. I don't think that in my head I ever thought LSU was going to have to play Florida and Alabama every year with this new permanent opponent system. I think LSU would be getting significantly screwed if that was the case. But I did think that they would get one or the other, and Florida was probably the one they would get. And then they got neither one of them. And to me, that was just a huge fumble.
I will say this in watching the Florida game this weekend, just seeing that brand march out onto the field, and it really doesn't matter how good or bad that team is.
Yeah.
It's Florida. It's the Florida Gators, and that blue on LSU's yellow, it just feels right. And I am sad to see that not be an annual thing anymore, but you know, that's just kind of that's probably one that they could have squeezed in, but I think they felt between balancing of schedules. Okay. And arguably, I think LSU might, I think from a logistic standpoint of winnable games, I think LSU got off on this one. I think they got the easiest 3 draw.
Like a rose, man. Yeah.
Now, not to say these teams are bad or they're going to be easy wins. I'm not saying any of that, but and of course the other part of this conversation is in the NIL era from year to year, it's even more difficult to predict who's going to be good or bad on a yearly basis. For all we know, the Waltons are about to cash up a massive NIL budget for Sam Pittman. Who knows? But the point is based on recent history, LSU got an easy 3 draw. LSU got a very easy 3 draw.
I agree. I mean, you're talking about an 8-4 team religiously in Texas A&M, an Arkansas team who, over the course of history, you have manhandled, especially recent history. And an Ole Miss rivalry that's been competitive as of late. But, I mean, you go back 10 years, I think it was or not even that. 2018, Ole Miss only won one game in the SEC or didn't win any.
Yeah.
It's a caliber of Ole Miss that's very unpredictable. And like you said with NIL, who knows what
Who
everything
knows?
will look like in 10 years. If I showed you this model and how the SEC was right now 10 or 15 years ago, it would look like a foreign language to you. I mean, the game continues to change. And this is, once again, probably the tip of the iceberg of things to come in the next 5 to 10 years. But just right now, sitting there in the moment, and my first reaction to it is just, man, it just feels like a wasted opportunity. If you're an LSU fan, I'd be a little frustrated, knowing that, like we talked about earlier, you still get the matchups, but you got to wait a year in between. That kind of sucks.
Yeah, I definitely get where you're coming from with that. And I guess overarchingly, there was nothing that you were going to do that made everybody happy.
Sure.
Especially with
That's an
LSU,
impossible
because
task.
as many meaningful rivalries as LSU has, but none of them are the rival. You know what I mean? Like there's no Iron Bowl. There's there's just none of these just intense. There's no in-state rival. And there's no just, this has been the person, you know, for a long time, LSU had the Arkansas game as their Thanksgiving rivalry game, but it's like LSU never really respected Arkansas. Even when Arkansas was beating LSU, they still never really respected it. So I guess the big broader point here is you were never going to make everybody happy. I think given the circumstances, I think they've done a pretty good job. That's just my opinion. A lot of people disagree with me. A lot of people agree with me. I just think it's one of those things where there's too many wants to make everybody happy.
I'll feel a little bit better to add on to your Arkansas point. If they would move that game back to the Friday after Thanksgiving, like they used to be, man, I have so many good memories of LSU Arkansas playing on the Friday after Thanksgiving. I don't care how uncompetitive the game was. It was always very fun to enjoy Thanksgiving and know you're watching LSU Arkansas. I would be very excited if that's a permanent opponent, putting them back in that slot. I'm not sure they will do that, but that would that would
or
be nice.
Texas A&M. Well, okay, so
Yeah,
Texas A&M's probably. Are they playing Texas in that slot? I'm pretty sure that's what they do have going on, but I wouldn't mind.
Probably,
that.
yeah.
If they're going to be on the schedule every year, sure, why not? Sure, yeah, I'm with it. You know, make it the boot game. Don't put it on a Friday though. Can we please have Saturday? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair. But
Not
hey,
Good Friday.
Talking about and recently talking about next year in particular, tough schedule for LSU on those road games, especially having to go back to Ole Miss this upcoming week and then next year as well. That's rough. But you get A&M at home 2 years in a row, and you knew that was going to happen with one of these permanent opponents.
Well, okay. Before I get you out of here, I got Johnny Eads in the back. I'm about to throw him on here. Do you have any thoughts on the LSU Ole Miss game this weekend you want to share?
It is going to be a chess match. I mean, it's going to be so much fun to watch this
between
game.
Landry and Witt, or between Blake and.
I won't comment on that. It's going to be between Lane Kiffin and Blake Baker for sure. Anything that happens after the game is completely up to the rest of the Kiffin family. No, but specifically watching the way that this game's going to unfold, it's going to be a lot of fun. I personally think that if LSU can score in the mid-20s, they win this game, because I do think this defense is top 5. I do. I think this defense is top 5. I really do believe that. And I think the tempo of Ole Miss and their ability to move the ball downfield in the first 4 games makes them dangerous. But have they played a real defense yet? That's the real question. The million-dollar question is, have they played a defense? They have not played a defense like LSU for sure.
No,
and I think that's going to be a very tough task for them to keep that tempo and score points like they have been. Lane talked about taking the over on social media. I'll tell you right now, I haven't locked in my best bet on the week of where I'll be putting my money. But the under's enticing at 55.5. I'll say that up front. But LSU is an underdog, Preston. I know it's a hostile environment. I know it's an LSU team unproven on offense. But I like the Tigers in a close one. I think they win somewhere between like maybe 24-20, 27-21, somewhere in that ballpark. But I don't see this Ole Miss team being able to manhandle them and put them into a shootout, because I promise you they will not win a shootout. Not with the way this offense has been clicking.
I'm with you. I see something along the lines of 23-17 LSU wins. I have trouble imagining this defense getting scored on 4 times in a football game.
That's kind of my thought process. Even saying 27-21, like I still don't see Ole Miss scoring 3 touchdowns. That's the thing. Like I think It would have to
Hard
be two
to
touchdowns
imagine.
and a pair of field. Yeah, it's hard to imagine. We're only 4 games in, but from what I've seen, they passed the eye test, and they definitely passed every other test I've seen so far defensively. So this will be a real test for them against an explosive offense. We'll see if they can keep up with the tempo.
All right, Hunter. Thank you for joining us tonight, man. I appreciate you coming in and talking. We'll talk to you soon, man.
Absolutely, buddy. Thanks for having me on.
That was Hunter McCann, sports reporter at WAFB. I'm sorry, WBRZ. Now we have sports reporter with WAFB, John Eads, coming in. John, this is the first time I've seen you without
I know.
NBA YoungBoy poster behind you. Or the studio, I guess. One of the two.
If it's not physically behind me, it's there in spirit.
It's inside of you.
Never truly leaves. It's inside of me. Everywhere I go, that's what I'm listening to. So it's just it's like a black cloud that hangs above you that people,
right.
Will use as to make an image sometimes.
Yeah.
Certainly not a black cloud, though he has a song called Black Cloud. It's a great song. That's what's with me everywhere I go. Weird way to start.
Speaking of black cloud that's with you everywhere you go, okay, Landry Kiffin posted Whit Weeks on her Instagram. They went official. Someone is playing chess and someone is playing checkers, and I can't figure out who's who. Who's winning the mental game right now, Lane Kiffin or Whit Weeks?
Right. Is Whit getting the secrets on Ole Miss's offense, or is Landry getting the secrets on LSU's defense? Maybe a little bit of both, No, they've been dating for a while, though, I think a couple weeks.
Right, since summer.
No pun intended. Maybe the pun's intended. I wonder how they met, I'm not sure if she goes to LSU or what, but pretty crazy. Small world.
Yeah, I do know that they did a live stream Landry Kiffin did with the Weeks brothers' sister. Like there was the West Weeks jerseys on the wall. So maybe some sort of connection tie in there. But no, I mean, good for them. They look like a happy couple. It's just a very funny thing to see posted by Ole Miss coach's daughter amidst game week. I guess, I don't know. I guess she didn't think it was that big of a secret and it wouldn't be big news to post. And she's like, well, they play this week, big week for me. Let's post it. And it's probably turned into something a little bit more. But again, I think it's also funnier because it's Lane Kiffin. It's Lane Kiffin. Anyways, all right. Schedule release comes out today. We knew the 3 permanent for LSU
we're talking about that
going to
too.
be. Well, yeah. I mean, that's the title of the show tonight. Did you just want to talk about Whit and Landry all night?
The Landry Kiffin, Whit Week stuff.
Yeah, did you want to just talk about Landry Gate all night? We can just do Landry Gate. I'm fine with that. We might lose all our viewers, though. So anyways, we knew the 3 permanents. We had Texas A&M, Arkansas, Ole Miss. Probably not as juicy of a matchup as people would have wanted with, say, Florida or Alabama or Auburn. But I'll say this, it's a more favorable draw if you're just trying to win the conference. But we saw the others. You're going to have Alabama, Mississippi State, Texas at home, which is going to make for a pretty fire home schedule once you throw Texas A&M in there too. Yeah. And then you're going to be at Auburn, at Kentucky, at Tennessee. I would argue those in conjunction with at Arkansas and at Ole Miss makes for a pretty favorable road schedule draw. Did you have any thoughts on the schedule release?
Yeah, it's a lot to digest right now, especially when we're in the middle of this one and we don't know what these teams are going to look like next year. We don't know what the coaching staffs are going to look like. So you kind of just, you look at it. It's kind of like the schedules they make for the non-conference. Like LSU will play Oregon in 2040. Well, I hope I'm here for that. I mean, it's cool, but we don't really know what's going to be going on, around that time. But as far as the permanent opponents, Arkansas, Ole Miss, and A&M, it's not Alabama, Georgia, and Texas. I mean, it's not a hard draw. I would say there's really no good draw in this conference. Like, who's the worst team in the SEC right now? Probably Kentucky, I would say.
Yeah, and even they are you going to have confidence that they're bad next year?
They're never really bad. I mean, they beat Ole Miss last year. They almost beat Ole Miss this year.
Good
they're
point.
Tough to play. If they're able to play the way they want to play football under Stoops, they're a tough out. So there's really no win in this conference if you're a part of it, because every team is tough. That's what I mean by that. But Arkansas is that's the whole boot thing. I mean, that's a low key rivalry. I don't know if LSU fans consider it a rivalry, but
one of the parties does.
That's a favorable, right? Yeah. That's a favorable matchup, They're certainly not overpowering. You guys were talking about end roster every year. With that said, they typically will give LSU a pretty good game. Not last year, but the year before they did. Ole Miss, obviously the Magnolia Bowl, interesting matchup. It's kind of contrasting styles, and, that it's gone both ways. So that's an interesting matchup. And then A&M, same thing. It's gone both ways. Tough team. I love Mike Elko. He's done a really good job there already, and they look good this year, man. I'll tell you what, that's going to be a tough out
Notre
there.
Dame. Yep.
They beat Notre Dame, yeah. So, like I said before, at least it's not some of the perennial powers in this conference. Like, I wouldn't consider any of these three a perennial power necessarily.
Right.
Now, they're good. They're solid, but not like an Alabama, Georgia, that kind of thing.
Right.
As far as next year's schedule, got back-to-back trips to Ole Miss, so that's a bummer this year and next year.
It is a bummer. Yeah.
Looking at everything else here, Mississippi
but I mean,
State,
that's
nice
part
to see
of
them
it.
back on the schedule. What's that?
If you were going to restructure the conference, there was going to be some wackadoodle back-to-back road trip.
Yeah, it happened with the Big Ten after COVID as well. Like, Michigan got to host Ohio State in back-to-back years because of
it happens. It just like, how do you think Texas A&M feels about 2 road trips to Death Valley?
Yeah, true. Probably not great. Especially with how it went for them last year on their home field. It does make a big difference sometimes, and it doesn't help when you throw interceptions and stuff either. But just looking at the 26 schedule, road trip to Kentucky, that's interesting. When's the last time LSU played in Kentucky?
Probably 2021. They got the crap beat out of them with that 6 and 7 team.
Okay.
Ogeron was interim coach for that. Yeah, it's been a little while. Yeah. Koon brought up the Georgia game, which LSU goes to Georgia in 2027. They haven't played at Georgia since 2013.
Yeah, that was it.
What grade were you in 2013? What grade were you in that year?
2013, I would have been in 7th grade. Yeah.
Oh, my.
7th grade.
Oh, man. I was at my first year at LSU that year, and I was like, man, I was just so young. I hadn't even started working in sports media when that happened. And then Bryce Koon was like, I was a junior in high school. And boy, you Leroy Jenkins that thing. You just ran with it. Oh, man. Yeah, no, that's kind of crazy, though.
You guys are older than me.
Oh, yeah. Well, you're one of the youngest guys on the beat. I mean, for sure. You were born, 2001? Is that right?
Guess.
You guess. How do you guess?
Yeah, 2001. Yep.
That seems like something you should have memorized. I'm just going to tell you for future reference. You should probably know what year you were born in, but, hey.
Might be important. Yeah. Right now, I'm locked in on, third downs and red zone and stuff. So I forget that non-important stuff like that.
Well, okay. Compared to third down and red zone, I mean, your birthday is not that important. I agree with you.
Right. Exactly. No, it's a good point by you, Tennessee going to Knoxville next year.
That's your big tough one on the road. That's your tough one.
I think my buddy Darren, who works with us here, said he's only been to Knoxville like 3 times maybe. And he's been shooting at LSU games since the 90s. So it doesn't happen often.
I want to throw another caveat out there with this home schedule. We just talked about how elite that home schedule is. Let's throw Clemson at Death Valley.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
I mean, it's going to be a gnarly home. The season ticket holders are getting every penny's worth. Sure. John, before I swap you out here, I do have to ask you, do you have any thoughts on the Ole Miss game? Have you made a prediction, anything of that sort yet?
I'm fascinated by it because I don't think, kind of like Hunter was saying, I don't think Ole Miss has seen a defense like LSU's just yet. And by that same token, I don't know if LSU's seen an offense like Ole Miss's yet. I don't want to downplay Clemson's offense, but I wouldn't put it up there with Ole Miss's as of right now, and the way that they run tempo and all of that. I was at the game in 23. What up, Carter? And they just ran circles around that.
You're live. You asked for it. So I put you live.
Eads is my guy, man. There's no one that covers LSU baseball like Eads, man.
Dude, hold up. I do have to give Eads a shout out. The dude's a freaking animal. Boots on the ground.
Dude,
if it resembles an LSU sport, he's out there and he's sunburnt. Okay, like, oh yeah.
Wow.
Definitely sunburnt. Yeah, my skin. I have a perennial farmer's tan.
Let's go.
Yeah. I think Dwight Schrute was onto something when he tried to mix sunscreen with bug spray. I think that would be good for me because I have both problems all the time.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it sounds a little cancerous to me, but I don't really know much about
too much
that
DEET
kind of stuff. Yeah,
apparently
a lot of DEET going on there.
But yeah, but back to the Ole Miss game. Contrasting styles. Neither team has been tested on one side of the ball, I think, but I'm really confident in LSU. I don't know why. I have a feeling they're going to go over there and win by a touchdown, or if not more. The defense has just been so consistent and solid. Ole Miss has been doing that whole quarterback shuffle thing. I'm not sure which one we're going to see. And I think this offense will move the ball against this defense. And I think that they'll play it the way they need to. That's complementary and balanced based on how the game is going. Like, they're not going to go super quick on offense. I think they'll try to chew clock and stuff, but they have more explosiveness than Kentucky does, so they can actually score points, So, yeah, I'm pretty confident that LSU can go win this game by 7-14, personally.
There you go. 17-14, you said?
Maybe
very low score.
Dang, you're going the under 2?
Yeah.
That's
well,
really
no,
I'm taking.
You're going against Lane's wishes. You're going against Lane's wishes.
I'm saying the margin of victory. And yes, I am doing that, Carter.
I think it's a perfectly fair score. I want a little higher scoring.
Yeah.
I'm in like the 23-17 bus, but I'm still well under that 55.5. I mean, I'm 15.5 under that. But
well, I'm not saying it's going to be 14-7. I'm saying that LSU is going to win by a touchdown plus. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought.
I'm thinking.
Wait, a touchdown plus?
Yeah. I'm just not very impressed by what Ole Miss has put on the film. I've watched.
Who's going to be their quarterback?
They haven't seen a defense like this.
Who's going to be their quarterback this weekend, John?
Tough call. I mean, they can't go wrong either way.
I think they can.
Like both of them. You think?
I think you got to go
Chambliss.
Trinidad.
He's
I think
from
you got to go Chambliss.
Bear State. Yeah. School, or one of them, with Grand Valley State, where Brian Kelly began his career. Little known fact. I don't know.
Won national championships there.
I think Simmons, he was their guy to start the season. He's been dealing with a little something the past few weeks. I think he plays. But, he looked decent against Kentucky, but there's some plays in there that I think LSU can make against him, like they did, opportunistic turnovers and stuff. So, I think Simmons plays. They sat him for Tulane. They knew they would win that game. Yeah, I think Simmons plays.
Oh, wow, Eads. That's crazy. I thought for sure that they would just.
Well, I'll tell you this. Someone threw out an angle of, hey, it's almost like the NFL nowadays where if you have a ton of resources invested in one guy, NIL-wise, there might be some pressure to go with him and to prove those investments worthy. So I don't know. To me, I think you go with the hot hand with a short leash. That's my opinion. If he goes out there and doesn't look ready, you got Simmons there. But I do think you roll with the hot hand.
That's fair, but he was the starter game one, and for a reason. And he's been there, done that. I mean, they've won a game in Lexington where he made mistakes, but he also made some plays. I think they go with him personally. Chambliss, he looked good. There were some plays in there where he kind of just threw it up and got a little lucky, I think. I think against a better defense, some of the stuff he did isn't going to work. So that's all I'm going to say. Yeah. Very hot take today.
Well, that is John Eads, sports reporter at WAFB Sports. John, thank you for popping in, man. I appreciate you.
Yeah. Good to see you guys. Have a good chat, Power Hour.
All right,
All
John
right.
Eads. Wait, John doesn't remember my name.
Yeah, I remember your name. I just was calling you by your second name.
No,
Carter.
well, what's my name, John?
Carter.
Okay, good.
What's
John,
his last name? What's his last name?
No, he
Bryant.
doesn't. You don't need to know that.
It's Brandy. Okay, it's Brandy.
Brandy.
Oh,
I'll
it's
take
Brandy.
Yeah, I'll
Carter
take
Brandy.
Carter Brandy.
Yeah, it's funny because like John Eads has been one of my favorite guests I've ever had on PHL. But tomorrow, I teased this on the show, but I actually didn't give the name. Tomorrow, Jacques Doucet is making his PHL debut.
What?
Yeah, yes. And I'm gonna ask him about the same thing I asked Eads about the aux cord.
Yeah.
When Eads and Jock are driving around, Jock wants to hear some rock, and Eads wants to hear some Young Boy.
Absolutely.
Young Boy.
Very different. If I were to put John Eads' aux cord in Mike Scarborough's car, Mike Scarborough would drive off the road.
Yes, you would go crazy.
I don't know if y'all saw my tweet last week.
No, Mike
him.
would.
Mike would what? Go ahead.
Mike would let me play whatever I want because we're good friends and he likes me.
Oh, you think?
No, dude, he would not.
No, he wouldn't. No, he wouldn't. He said, "What year were you born in? Get in the back seat. We're not listening to anything made before you were made."
We're going to talk about protein bars and Genesises, and he won't even know what's going on. Yeah.
That's great.
That's totally his vibe. Genocide. Yeah, genocide is the plural. All right, John. I appreciate you, man. We will talk to you soon. Okay, bud.
No doubt. Good seeing you guys.
All right, good to see you, bro. Well, that's my guy, man.
I love that guy. He's fun to talk to. And he is just a guy. He's not from here, and he is just assimilated as fast as he can, man. He's part of us. He's part of us now. All right, Carter. I do have to do a quick ad break, but I'm very much so looking forward. I hope you have some nerdy analytic point about this schedule somehow, some way. I'm sure you've got something for me. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk a little Ole Miss, but first, I got to pay some bills up in here, man, because we can't do the show if I don't do this. Guys, if y'all looking for somewhere good to either watch the game or prepare for the game this weekend, guys, one thing we try to do with all the sponsors is sponsor with locally owned businesses that we experience firsthand and we know we can trust and endorse to provide an outstanding experience for our listeners. And that's exactly what you get at Capital City Grill. This football season, they're the perfect partner for that lineup. They're located 100 Lafayette Street in downtown Baton Rouge. They're your ideal lunch and dinner stop for a casual dining experience. They feature a variety of sandwiches, burgers, seafood, pastas, steaks, and most everything priced $30 or below for a more affordable experience. I know a lot of times you go downtown, you're looking at a lot of fancier dining. This is a great casual alternative to that. Don't forget to celebrate a Tigers win at their Sunday morning brunch, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. You can book your reservation online at capitalcitygrill.net and make sure to let them know TigerBait sent you in. And guys, change the way you feel today at Rejuvenate Medical by creating a customizable treatment plan. Sorry about that. Customizable treatment plan based on your goals. Rejuvenate can lead you to success. Visit rejuvenatemedical.com for more information.
I'm Dustin Goto. I received testosterone replacement therapy from Rejuvenate. My very first shot, the next morning I woke up, looked in the mirror, I could feel the difference in my body. Go for a consult. You may not know how bad you feel until you start feeling good.
Carter, I'm going to ask you a quick question, just a quick trivia question. Could you possibly guess what my studio and Tiger Stadium have in common?
Oh, what's that?
They are both wired by Dykes Electrical,
God.
the official electrical company of TigerBait.com. No matter how big or how small your electrical needs may be, whether it's a 75-foot square foot TigerBait studio or whether it is a 102,000 seat stadium, Dykes is wired for success. Need a brand new 10-story office building? They can wire that. 200 square foot warehouse you need built? They can wire that. Expanding your existing commercial building? They can wire that. Changing out a breaker, whole electrical panel, or just a receptacle in your home or office? They can wire that. Upgrading old lighting in your home or office? They can wire that. If you can't think of something that you need wired, fellas, I got one word for you. Ask your wife. She'll think of something. I promise you. Give them a call today at the number on your screen, 225-216-9180 for a free estimate on your project. Make sure to let them know that TigerBait sent you in. This one. All right, guys. And of course, if you are looking for a great oyster stop, the newest location in town is 315 North Boulevard. That is Bay's Oyster Bar. They got the freshest farm-raised oysters. They've got East Coast, West Coast, and Gulf Coast oysters, and they'll be willing to tell you the difference between all three. I thought it was fascinating how they were able to break down. This one's going to have a little saltier flavor. This one's going to have a more full flavor. I thought the Gulf Coast oysters were the best raw, but go out and test it for yourself. They also have char-grilled oysters, different flavors, barbecue flavored oysters. It's truly an impressive thing. And all they do all day is shuck oysters. So you know it's going to be fresh, good, clean stuff. They also have items outside of oyster if you have to drag a non-oyster eater like I often have to. They have boiled shrimp, turkey brie. They've got a classic roast beef po' boy. Real good stuff, guys. Mike liked the roast beef po' boy more than any of the oysters when we went out. They have a full bar, featured top-notch bourbon, whiskey, and craft beer. Don't miss out on Baton Rouge's newest oyster spot, and make sure to let them know TigerBait sent you in. Did you like how I used you there? I incorporated you into an ad without you knowing?
My agent didn't sign off on that. You got to go to my NIL transfer portal guy, he's got to sign off because it's not me. I don't mind getting my cut. It's his cut. So now I gotta Venmo him $150.
150? Jesus, man.
Because you use my likeness. He's like, and he said, "No, I'm just kidding."
I'll tell you what. Next time you're in town, I'll treat you to something. Okay, we'll get you something. I'll take you out to one of my sponsors. How about that?
Right, I'm down. But it is like that though. Like they're the players' agents are like, "Hey, don't be doing no freebies."
Hey,
I'm getting my cut.
I remember 2 or 3 years ago, I asked a player who I will not be naming to come on my show. And of course, we've had players come on here and there. And for the first time, one of them asked me for money to do the interview. And my jaw just dropped. I could not believe it. But you're right. That's what agents are doing for them. They're like, hey, go get your bag.
And that's also fair. You know, it's like, it's always been a thing. Like, do you actually get paid for your time? It just depends on like the size of the show and like how much time you're actually giving. But I'm always going to jump on Mike Scarborough's TigerBait with Mr. Preston Guy, one of my favorite guests on my channel. And,
but you said that about John Eads too, so now I feel like I'm not super special.
But then again, John does baseball. You and I aren't super.
I'm not good on baseball. No,
I'm not either.
I do watch baseball, and I'm trying to do a little more media work. I'm never going to be like the baseball beat reporter for TigerBait, but I watch most of the games, and I enjoy it. And I don't know, part of me just likes being a fan of the other sports, and not because when you're in the media, there's just certain that you can't like publicly cheer. You can't rep your LSU. It's just different, right? And I enjoy going to the games. I went to the West Virginia Super Regional, and that was a ton of fun. Brought my family. My stepdad's a West Virginia alum, so I went with him.
That's right. Yeah.
Big old fun event.
But if there is something that I'm passionate about, it is scheduling. And I'm so happy that we are in a 9-game conference schedule.
Really? Me too. I'm glad I'm not in a super minority.
No, you're the only other person in the SEC that's for it. I say the only other one. I would say probably 9 out of every 10 of us that do this are so anti 9-game conference schedule. And this is what I tell everyone. I understand that you are so worried about the damn playoff. Well,
right.
Penn State has it easier than us, and that's true. And the ACC, they're going to 9 and all that, but they still do have it easier than us. My answer to that is, why are you so damn worried about the playoff? Like, that's not why I am a fan of college football. It never will be a reason why I am a fan of college football. The playoff, and I really do mean this. Do I get excited for college football playoff games? Abso-freaking-lutely. But I get more excited for this weekend. I get more excited that we finally get our return Texas game next year. I really do. I'm not fronting. I'm not just using.
That was a note I had written. Nobody else has mentioned that COVID game got canceled for Texas.
Yes.
And we get it back this year. That's a big deal in my opinion.
It's a massive deal. I think it's a big deal that we're in the same conference as the Georgia Bulldogs, and we have to wait 11 years. As you can see, we'll get them at home in 2029. Last time was in 2018. And this is just so cool to me. And I understand everything gets harder. And we can have a conversation about injuries and how much harder it is on the players. And all of that is true. Okay? All of that is true. But guess what? They're going to make more money. And the SEC is going to make more money. The teams are going to make more money.
Did the TV deal get reworked? I didn't hear anything about that because remember they were holding out to do the 9th game until they got more money from ABC. Did they rework the deal?
I would be very shocked if ESPN didn't acquiesce to their demands on that, or if they didn't say, "Hey, we are really slanting the playoff towards you guys now." And that's a big thing as well. Is we don't know until we actually see what they do with the playoff committee. But if they say they're going to do it, the SEC wouldn't have gone forward with 9 games if they.
Here's what has to ultimately happen. You have to put a 9-3 SEC team over most 10-2 ACC teams or 10-2 Big 12 teams, and even maybe a Big 10 team that played on the weaker half because they have 18 teams.
Right, or
you might get the weaker half.
Or a team like Cal, right? Cal is avoiding all the elite teams in their conference.
Right.
Yeah.
So if Cal is 10-2 and you've got, say, Georgia at 9-3, until the committee shows that they have the cojones to say, look at the schedule that this team played. Yes, they lost 3 good football teams, but I mean, the schedules just were not close. They need to be able to do that. And history in college football shows that putting a team with more losses above a team with less losses tends to be a rare thing that happens. It does happen occasionally. Notably, Kansas in 2007 with their 1 loss got excluded from the national championship over a 2-loss LSU team. So there is precedent for putting a team with more losses over a power conference team with less losses in a championship venue. But I don't know. I don't have too much confidence in this committee, to make that call. I do.
Don't. I do because college football lost money with the SEC got lucky that a fraudulent Alabama team didn't make it to the playoff, in which it would have gotten beat by Penn State. Do they put up a better fight? Probably so, but SMU gets in there, and while SMU is in Dallas, and there's a lot of powerful people that have gone to SMU, Alabama draws the biggest number in the sport outside of Ohio State. So I do think that they're going to shift.
So you think they're going to do it based on TV ratings, though? But I mean, that's not necessarily.
No. That's not what I'm saying. It's last year they didn't put Alabama in over SMU. Mainly because of the loss column for SMU and the fact that they lost that conference championship game. I do think they're going to be bold. The committee's going to be a little bit more bold and put an SEC team over an ACC or a Big Ten team that doesn't deserve it. And, this is also good for the SEC to play this 9-game conference schedule because you're not really a conference if you don't play teams often. And now that you're telling me that you're going to play every team once every 2 years,
phenomenal.
Do people not understand how ridiculous LSU playing Florida every year was in the cross division rival? It
was madness.
That was insanity. All right, how they used to do it. And now we get to be an actual conference. When you mention the word conference, if I am in the same conference as you in every sport imaginable, I am playing every team in my conference every year. But you can't do that in college football because of conference sizing. But the thing is, it was way tipped off on one side where you're playing every team in your conference once every 6 years and at their venue once every 12 years. And
ridiculous, madness, no integrity.
It's insanity. And now I I know that I get to play Kirby Smart in Georgia every once in 2 years. That's awesome. That is so unfreaking believably awesome. Now you're a real conference. You're not ducking people. That's what really makes me excited. Now, does this hurt LSU in the long run? It might. It might.
Could.
Because
It's possible.
It does make your schedule tougher. Guess what? Guess what, Preston guy? Guess what, TigerBait audience? This is the SEC. It means more. Okay? If you're in the best conference, if you're in the best of the best of the best conference, and you're getting the most money to be in here, if you don't want to be here with the 9-game conference schedule, guess what? Nebraska would be happy to take your slot right now. Clemson would happily take your slot right now. Get out of here if you don't want to play in a more difficult conference now. So I'm so pumped up for this. I really am.
I agree. I think the fact that you can go to every SEC stadium in a 4-year span, meaning if you sign with this SEC team, you're going to play in every SEC stadium if you stay the full 4 years. Magnificent. I love it. I applaud it. There's obviously some flaws. A lot of people aren't too excited about the 3 teams you drew. Again, I think with this format, you were never going to make everybody happy, but ultimately, no rivalry is going to die because guess what? You don't play Bama this year. Okay, you play them next year. You don't play Florida this year. You get them next year. They don't go away. They're just slightly less frequent. And
it worked out. It worked out for LSU, Preston, that Bama and Florida aren't in the same season. That was something else that I was hoping that wasn't going to happen. So Florida, who I hate more than anything in life itself, Alabama's right up there with Florida. I like my hate to be tessellated. All right. Yeah. So I'm pumped up about that. Dude, I'm just so freaking excited how this actually ran out for LSU. And if you are one of those people that fear competition, LSU also got one of the weaker permanent draws.
They did.
But at the same time, Preston, it's not as big of a deal. It really isn't, because you're still, like you said, you're still playing difficult teams. All right. Sure, you're not playing Alabama every year, but in 2027, well, you still got to play Florida and Georgia and at South Carolina. So it's not like the end of the world, and it's also not as big of a break as people are making it out to be.
Let me tell you something. I also think of the shows now, obviously the strength of the schedule and opportunity to compete for a championship based on what the schedule, that's been the strongest theme of this show tonight, because it's just natural to discuss when discussing who you're playing. But I'll say this, in opening that conversation, we have opened ourselves up to have to look really dumb in the future, because it's very difficult, particularly in this area, to truly predict how good a team will be even next year, much less we're talking about teams on 2029 right now. Like, who's to say if Arkansas is not going to be a great team next year? Are you telling me the potential for the Waltons and Jerry Jones and the Clintons and all that money that Arkansas has, are you telling me they don't have any potential to sign a top 5 portal class this offseason? Of course that potential is there. You just have to organize and weaponize it. So to say Arkansas, oh, that's a great draw, man. Arkansas on the road, that's a very winnable game. You might be right now, but we might be looking really dumb next year when God knows who shows up for Arkansas there. So a lot of this, but in that conversation, in fear of not making myself look dumb, I will go ahead and say it anyways. Texas and Georgia being staggered, I think, is a really big deal. I think those are 2 programs that are just going to be tough year in and year out.
Yeah.
And if I had to pick a team to pair with Texas, Georgia, or Alabama should be a tough team, although we don't truly know the direction of their program post Saban. I'd partner them with Texas and be happy about that. I have a lot of confidence in Georgia being a tough and talented team under Kirby Smart for the foreseeable future. So, look, I think a lot of things fell in LSU's schedule. By the way, the tough teams you play next year, a lot of them are at home. Talk about that home schedule next year, Carter. I mean, that has to be just so invigorating for a season ticket holder. You're going to have Clemson, Texas A&M, Alabama, and Texas with the return trip that we missed from COVID. We're finally getting it back. Man.
Dude, it's erotic. It gets my juices flowing, baby. I can't freaking wait. And I'm not one of those like I bring on the toughest competition thing. It really comes down to equity, right? It's so much better. Like it really, really, really is. Now, once again, you and I are both friends with Dave Bartu. I've known Dave my whole college football career.
Dude's a mad scientist.
Yeah, he's crazy. Yeah, absolutely wild how much college football analytics stuff he knows. Yeah, there might be an uptick in injuries because you just play one tougher game, and that's also one less weak game between it. So you're going to play more difficult back-to-back opponents. But what I would also say is the NFLification of the sport has already been happening. So, how you build depth becomes even more important. And what I would do, and one thing I would say to, like, if Austin Thomas were to call me and say, "Hey, Carter, how would you go about roster building in the future?" I would take a look at what happened this past year, where you got so many good players, where DJ Pickett's coming off your bench. That depth is so important. It is so important. And depth has become even harder in the transfer portal era. So the teams that can build depth are going to be the winners in the 9-game conference schedule world.
That's a good point. I haven't really thought about that because in addition to 9 conference games, they're also mandating that you have a Power 5 opponent as well. So you're only going to have 2 tune-up games at most.
That's it. And part of why they're doing that, Preston, is so in order to keep South Carolina, Clemson, and Florida State, you'd have to make everybody in the conference do it.
Right. That's a good point.
That's part of it, but the main thing is they want to keep some resemblance of a non-conference thing, because LSU Clemson did draw a big number and it was unique. And you had Alabama, Florida State, and Ohio State, Texas, and Ohio State, Texas drew a ginormous number, and everybody made a lot of money. But
Except Arch Manning.
That's true. He lost.
He lost a lot of money.
but yeah, I think when it comes around, and look, I'm also not saying like people saying should you be scared or should you not be scared. I can understand fearing how much more difficult it's going to be, right? But take your own fear out of who you are as an LSU fan, and just take away your fandom and your connection to LSU and look at the big picture, how many more great games you get to watch on a weekly basis. And some games just really captivate me more than others. For some reason, Preston, Auburn, Oklahoma, no real rivalry between these two schools at all. I was captivated by that game, okay? And it wasn't even the quarterback angle with Jackson Arnold. That was just good football. 2 programs that put money on this current roster in the portal. They really cared to try and be good this year. And those teams fought their asses off. And we're going to get we're going to get 8 more of these matchups every year. Are you kidding me? And I could avoid an Alabama Mercer weekend and Florida Long Island. I am excited about that. So I'm really pumped up. I really am.
Can I tell you probably my most unpopular opinion is I'm glad they left some room open for those 2 cupcake games.
Yeah.
And here's why. I don't mind the cupcake game that is unique to college athletics and, to a lesser extent, high school athletics as well. In professional sports, there's not truly a David versus Goliath matchup. It's any given Sunday. The gap, and by the way, the even playing field, you're playing with almost equal resources almost every single time, right? Because the salary caps and all that jazz, right? The opportunity, you can't have Appalachian State upset Michigan if that game doesn't happen. So I think the David and Goliath aspect of college football being preserved is a good thing. I enjoy it. I also enjoy pointing and laughing at other teams as they struggle to get by. Troy, I guess LSU's not innocent of that themselves. Lots of struggles against Troy. But you know what I mean? But like, I like that. That's a fun part of like, oh my gosh, do you see what Georgia State is doing against Alabama right now? And then we're all watching until the back end of the second quarter where they rip off 3 straight touchdowns. It's like, I guess they're done. You know, that's one part of college football. I don't mind. I enjoy that part of college football. Of course, 9 times out of 10, it's a nothing burger in those games. And it's just blowout and not fun to watch. But I don't think it's necessarily bad to have them in the game.
Yeah, just don't schedule Troy though.
Don't look. I hope LSU never schedules Troy ever again, because it's not just the loss to Troy. It was also, remember 2008, the largest comeback in LSU history. I was at that game and it was cold. I left at halftime.
It was cold, and a girl I was talking to turned me down. She was like, "It's not working out." So that also happened at that game, and then I'm happily married, so that's fine. No water under the bridge, and then
bounce back, baby.
And then the DeMarcus Ware game. DeMarcus Ware played in Tiger Stadium many moons ago. So yeah, I don't want anything to do with Troy. Just don't ever schedule them on top of what we have
again. Here. Let them brag about that win till the end of eternity. I'm done with Troy. Let's just move on. All right. Before I wrap up the show here, I do have to ask you, what are your thoughts on LSU Ole Miss this weekend?
Yeah. So Preston, I've done 1,000 film studies. I've never worked as hard as the one I'm releasing tomorrow on Lane's offense because I love it. I love the daughter storyline. I really do think it's interesting because you know me, Preston. I don't get into the personal lives of any athlete. That's not why I got into it to do gossip. But since it's been so public and Lane is like, go take the over and all that stuff. I really dove deep into what his best concepts actually are. And one thing I learned is one of the plays that he ran quite a bit versus Tulane was one of 2019 LSU's best plays. It's a play called Spear. So he broke down Spear, how they would run it against us, and how Whit Weeks is actually the one who has to step up on that play. So it's very interesting, the entanglement aspect of it. Ole Miss's defense is not great. They struggled lining up versus Arkansas. They did have a good
too.
Yeah, they had a really good bounce back this past weekend versus Tulane. But then again, you know, it's Tulane, so this should
a good Tulane, but still, yes, your point stands.
Yes, and so they should be able to get something going offensively here, which is obviously everyone's concern. And then on the other side of it, you know, to stop a good bit of the lane staples that he runs, sometimes it just comes down to having the dudes, right? That's why it doesn't work versus Georgia and Alabama. If he had those dudes like he did when he was with Saban, it worked. Okay, so if the LSU's defense really has dudes on it, which I think based on the eye test that we have, I saw our mutual friend here, Stephen Miller, he's worried about the LSU defense. Maybe we're overhyping them a little bit going into this matchup. And there's reason for that concern, Preston, with what we know with Clemson and Florida and how bad they are. So, yeah, you do worry if maybe the LSU defense is a little overvalued. But then again, Ole Miss's defense or offense is not seeing half of the athletes defensively. And I'm serious. They just have not seen that. Right. Arkansas's defense is the worst defense. Right. They are 2023 LSU level bad. Okay.
Really?
Yeah, no, they're that bad. They are that bad. They don't care. They don't tackle. Their best players couldn't bring guys down from Memphis. So I do think this LSU defense is in a better spot than most to stop this lane offense. And at this juncture, I am leaning towards LSU getting it done this weekend, even though they're slight underdogs.
Well, and worth noting, how much is home field advantage typically worth? Like what, 3 points usually?
Yeah.
2.5 point dogs. So essentially Vegas sees this game as a slight push, essentially an even matchup. and they just gave the home field advantage to Ole Miss. So yeah, I do like LSU as well in this matchup. I think I just have trouble believing that this defense will give up 4 scores. Doesn't that just seem difficult to imagine? Maybe I'm off basis with that, but particularly for 2 inexperienced quarterbacks, talented but inexperienced.
Yeah, and one more thing I'll say about that, Preston, as far as like how this game could go, I could also see Garrett going on a heater, and this getting. Now it'll never be 2023 level because both of the quarterbacks in this game aren't as good as the quarterbacks that are in that one. But I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibilities that you could see explosive play battles in this. Even if you're concerned about Garrett's deep ball throwing, which I am, Ole Miss's secondary isn't what they were last year with Trey Amos. Like,
let me ask you this: deep ball concerns, is that from this year or last year?
Oh, for Garrett, no, it's right now. I mean, it's definitely right now.
Because he had troubles with that last year as well.
Yeah, he did, and he missed a few versus Ole Miss as well. But it obviously I'm more concerned about the recent, but I do think Berrien gets one, right? Berrien got the biggest catch in Oxford last season. It was the biggest catch of the season, and it ended up being keeping Ole Miss out of the playoff. So this is a good spot for LSU's receivers, and this is a good spot for LSU's very banged up running back room. And here's the thing. I will say this. I want every LSU offensive lineman that might be watching this right now. I'm doubting you. Use me as bulletin board material.
You guys suck is what Carter says.
If that's what gets them playing better, sure. Do it. I know you lose subscribers, you lose people that watch you if you say something like that, but let me be the motivation. Let me be the guy that is truly your doubter, that loves you more than people that actually do hate you. But please go out there and prove me wrong. Please, I'm begging you, please.
I have no problem hating on a player and then he proves me wrong. It's actually one of my favorite things to do.
I want it.
I love it when I doubt a player and then he comes out and he balls out and I'm like, good on him, man. I'll also say this. I'm a little more optimistic about the offense because Garrett Nussmeier was nearly perfect. He had, 6 incompletions with 5 drops. And what that tells me, yes, it's Southeastern. Yes, the level of competition was subpar. Yes, they're not competing with anywhere near the resources that you are as LSU, and you should handle them the way you handled them this weekend. That being said, Nussmeier had been shooting himself in the foot the first 2 games. Think about that Louisiana Tech deep ball to Barry and Brown, where he underthrows it by 15 yards. The worst throw of his career that I've seen, certainly that I can recall. And he didn't do any of that. There have been
worse, but that one was bad.
I mean, it was awful.
Yeah, it was bad. Yeah.
That's nothing the defense did to him to make him do that. It was just him screwing up. And that's what I didn't see against Southeastern was him screwing up. So I have a lot of optimism. I do think LSU takes this game. Carter, really appreciate you for popping in and staying extra.
Oh, wait, you're predicting LSU too?
Yeah. I'm going to take LSU somewhere around the 23-17 range, somewhere around there.
Oh, let's go, baby. But here's the thing. I kind of want to pick against LSU because I picked against them versus Clemson.
Yeah.
I might have to flip that. So Preston, keep doing what you're doing, and you're the best. Follow on Twitter. You're also really good at doing the whole YouTube shenanigans as well. And we'll talk soon, brother.
We will shenanigan forward, my friend. Thank you. Guys, thank y'all for watching tonight. I'm sorry we didn't get to too many comments. We had a lot of guys, 4 media guys rotating in. That's a lot to juggle in. I certainly hope y'all enjoyed this extra show that we don't usually do. We gave y'all an extra show this week. So I appreciate y'all. Everybody have a great night. And look, don't forget to like the show if you enjoyed it and subscribe to the channel. Thank you, guys. Y'all have a great night. We will see y'all after the Ole Miss game this weekend.